Well, no matter what age you are, you probably are connected somehow with other people through social media.
It's such a big part of all of our lives, but this is the life for Randi Zuckerberg.
Yes, if there is anyone you can turn to for digital advice these days, it is her. She is the author of 2 books, Complicated and where she's tracking her experience, skills, and knowledge, and she's helping all of us. Good to have you with us.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So you were very early on. You were obviously your brother founded Facebook, and you were like employee 20 or something,
yeah,
very early.
Right early in the company. I remember when we got there, it was still a site for college students. We celebrated our 5 millionth user on the site, and we thought, gosh, it'll never get better than this.
It turns out it actually did get bigger. I'm not sure if you're aware, but it got a little bit bigger over the time.
It got so big that you had President Obama's town hall on Facebook, which you were a huge part of. It was like your whole thing.
It was your baby.
Can you imagine working at a small company that started as a side passion project, and then the president chooses to use that as the way to communicate to America? It was an incredible moment in my life.
Well, it's definitely a testament to the reach and importance of social media in all of our lives. I'm curious, what made you leave? When did you say, well, I've had a good run here at Facebook, but I want to go do my own thing, or my life needs to go another direction?
Gosh, I'd been at Facebook for 6 years at that time. I was about 9 months pregnant when President Obama came to Facebook, and I was about to go on my maternity leave, and a few things kind of happened. My maternity leave, that was the first time that I wasn't working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I got to actually pick my head up and see, wow, there's a world out here. Yeah. But also, I firmly believe in leaving things when you're at the top, and I just didn't know where else you could go from hosting President Obama on a project that I made. So I figured, I'm sure I would have a great many more years here working, but this is like the time when you drop the mic and walk,
That's a good one to walk out on. That's a good one to leave on.
It's a great story in your book. You have it in the book. You talk about it, and you were just so inspired. You wanted to sort of reach out and do something different with your life.
I just thought, if here we are with the White House using social media as a vehicle to communicate to everyone around the world, what other applications and uses are there for social media, even beyond just Facebook, and how can I start working on some of those?
Talk to me a little bit about your books. When we look at the 2 books sitting there side by side, very different
Yes.
books. Talk to me about Complicated.
2 different books, but on the same basic topic. Complicated is about my own complicated relationship with technology, and I think many of us have a complicated relationship with technology. On one hand, it's provided us with so many opportunities to connect with people. On the other hand, especially for those of us who are parents looking for love in our careers, it sometimes makes us want to rip our hair out of our head.
Indeed.
And that is what Complicated is about, my own story and advice for this generation.
It seems strange to me that you, of all people, would have a tough time with social media because you helped create it, what we all use every day.
In some ways, though, I think I may be being on the front lines. I was out there experimenting. I think in some ways I was learning trial by fire with a lot of these tools. And a lot of the mistakes I made, the lessons I learned along the way, hopefully can help other people to learn from that. But also I feel maybe I owe a bit of karma back into the world because Facebook has created so many opportunities, so many wonderful things. But social media has also created so many challenges for us.
Yeah, and I think you said, like, your whole vision at the company was there's someone else at the end of this, at the end of the line. There's someone else on the other side, to always be aware of the humanity.
That's right. It's really easy to forget when you're just typing a message into a computer. It's just you by yourself, that there's another human with a soul on the end of it who's reading that, and to always be mindful of what you're writing and posting.
Do you have a pet peeve, like a social media etiquette pet peeve that drives you nuts? Because, all of us, I hate all caps. I know that's a simple one, but when people type in all caps, it drives me nuts.
Wow,
yes.
Note to self.
So I don't know if you are familiar with the game Candy Crush. I am a recovering Candy Crusher, and my pet peeve is when you see moms on Facebook complaining about how many hours their kids spend on video games, and then their next post is like, I just beat level 10,000 on Candy Crush. And you're like, gosh, I wonder where your kids are seeing that from.
Modeling that video game behavior for them. Yeah, exactly.
So
that makes sense.
I'm one of those people that have a complicated relationship with technology, and I want you to give us some advice. You say to shape your reputation online is one of your tips.
Yes. So reputation is the #1 thing I think that people worry about online, how they're perceived. You know, anytime you're going for a new job, a date, you know that person is Googling you and searching for you online. So what can you do? First of all, if you have a really common name, maybe you share that name with a lot of people online. Maybe what if they search for you and someone else comes up who doesn't have the best reputation? Find ways, use a middle initial online, find ways that you can really stand out and be yourself, but also remember that what your friends post about you is just as important as what you post about yourself. So it's important to be diligent about that.
Yeah, that gets back to your point of there is somebody else on the other end of this conversation. It's not just a monologue.
Right.
Gamification is
Yes.
a term I've heard you use. Explain that to us.
Gamification is this wonderful trend where developers are taking things like health, sleeping, fitness, wellness. They're applying video game mechanics in order to help us lead better, happier lives. So for one example, I saw an alarm clock on your phone. When you downloaded it, you put your credit card in, and anytime you hit the snooze button, it donates money to charity.
Wow. Well,
So there you
I'd be
go.
donating a lot of money
I'm
to
not sure if I
charity.
hit the snooze button more or less, but I get it. It's a
You're
game.
right.
You
It
make a
depends-
game out of
depends
it.
how charitable you're feeling
Right.
that day. But yeah, so it turns something annoying, waking up early in the morning, into a game. Another example, there's a lot of running apps, fitness apps. There's a great one that Nike put out where if you share that you're going for a run to Facebook, anytime someone hits like on it, it applauds for you in your ears while you're running.
Oh, that's nice, and I need that motivation.
So you're
Lord
on the
knows.
treadmill, you're out running, they're cheering for you.
Now, I have a question because, my parents struggle with using the internet. My dad will not. How do you get the older generation to get more involved in social media?
For me, it's about games, actually. So even going back to gamification, I first introduced my grandparents to social media by introducing them to Scrabble, to Words with Friends.
Right.
That's a great way. It's something, they understand Scrabble. They understand the board game. And so to just translate it to online for them, that's a great way to start. And then you can slowly but surely start sharing photos with them, start sharing videos. But all relatives, they like to look at baby photos,
Yeah.
family photos, stay connected. So even at a minimum, if you're just sharing that, it's a wonderful way to be connected.
Next thing you know, level 1,000 of Candy Crush for
That's
Grandma and
right.
Grandpa.
It all starts
Yes.
with Scrabble,
Yeah.
and then,
All right.
Thanks, Randy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
For lots of other tips on how you can use social media to your advantage, pick up a copy of Complicated and for your children.